The scholar suddenly died in his sleep. When people checked their bodies, they found tiny holes on the bottom of their feet, just as Ning was about to fall asleep. He suddenly felt someone was in the room. The moon is so bright tonight, so I thought maybe we could keep each other company. Hi there, it's Ziola here. Welcome to my channel. I grew up with a mix of culture and stories, and that's why I'm starting this channel to share some of the story I had grown up with. Today's story is about a girl named Nie Xiaoqian, and you'll hear me call her Xiaoqian throughout the story. Xiaoqian was a young woman who died of illness at just 18. After her death, she became a ghost and was forced to serve a demon. But in the middle of this miserable life, or afterlife, she met someone who completely changes her fate, a man named Ning Xiaoqian, and as usual, we'll call him Ning. Ning was a man from Zhejiang, and Zhejiang is right here. He was an honorable guy, generous, kind, and the type of person you could trust with anything. One day, while traveling to Jinhua to take the government exams, he wanted to become a government official. He stopped by an old small temple. It was quiet and peaceful there. But you could tell that nobody has been around for a long time, because all the inns in town were all full and charging ridiculous prices for the exams. So Ning decided to just spend the night at the temple and wait for a monk to show up. As dusk fell, Ning met his roommate Yan Chixia in the temple, and we'll call him Yan. He's pretty important later in the story. So that night, Ning couldn't sleep. The temple was too quiet and everything felt strange. After tossing and turning over for a while, he heard faint voices coming from outside, like people's whispering. He was very curious, so he got up and peeked through the window. He saw two women talking under the moonlight. One of them is middle-aged, and the other one is an old lady dressed in faded red robe with silver comb in her hair. They seem to be talking about or waiting for a young girl named Xiaoqian, chatting about why she's being late. Before long, a beautiful young girl appeared. Her face is glowing softly in the moonlight. The old women laughed and teased her, and the three talked quietly for a while before their voices faded away. Ning thought they were probably just neighbors from the nearby villages, so he went back to bed. Just as Ning was about to fall asleep, he suddenly felt someone was in the room. He got startled and sat up, and there she was, the same young lady he had seen earlier in the courtyard. He frowned and said, "What are you doing here?" The girl smiled and said softly, "The moon is so bright tonight. I couldn't sleep, so I thought maybe we could keep each other company." But Ning spoke calmly and firmly. "You need to protect your good name, man, and I have to do the same. One mistake can ruin us both." She stepped closer and said, "No one would ever know." "Enough," said Ning. "You need to leave now or I'll call the man next door." Xiaoqian was frightened. She slipped out the door, but moments later, she came back and places a bar of gold in his bed and whispered, "At least take this." And Ning refuses the gold, throwing it outside in disgust. And Xiaoqian walked away and said to herself, "This man's heart was made out of stone." The next morning, another scholar arrived at the temple with his servant. They stayed in one of the east rooms for the night. But something terrible happened. the scholar suddenly died in his sleep, and his servant died on the following night. When people checked their bodies, they found tiny holes on the bottom of their feet, like they had been pricked by needles. No one knew why. And later that evening, Yan came back, and Ning told him everything that happened. Yan said it was probably the work of some ghost or even demon. Ning just laughed it off. He wasn't afraid of anything. So that night, close to midnight, Xiaoqian appeared again. And she looked pale and sad. She said, "I've met many men, but no one was as righteous as you." She told him that her name is Nie Xiaoqian and died at the age of 18. She said, "My body buried beside the temple after my death. A demon forced me to serve it, to lure travelers to their death with my beauty or gold. If they fell for my beauty, I'd prick the sole of their feet with a needle and drain the blood for the demon. And if they fell for the gold, which is not real gold, but the demon's bones, their heart will be eaten. But that's not what I wanted. And I'm deeply ashamed of myself for doing it for him." Xiaoqian also told Ning to stay with Yan for his own safety because he is a sword master. Because the demon will be returned on the next night. Before she left, Xiaoqian asked for one last favor, to find her both under a poplar tree with a crow nest on top and bury them properly in her hometown, so her spirit could finally rest. Ning promised that he would do just that, and with that, she disappeared into the night. The next morning, Ning got up early and asked Yan to sleep in his room at that night. By evening, Ning had set out some food, some wine, trying to get Yan to hang out with him. And Yan said, "I would like to stay alone." But Ning kept insisting. So finally Yan said, "All right, just one thing. Don't touch that box by the window. It's dangerous." And Ning was like, "Okay, yes, sir." So that night, Yan fell asleep right away, snoring like nothing could bother him. Yan, on the other hand, couldn't sleep at all. And sometime after midnight, he noticed a shadow moving outside the window, and two glowing eyes staring in the dark. Just as he was about to call out, something dashes out from Yan's box. A flash of white light, fast as light. It smashes through the window, struck something we couldn't see. Then it flew back inside. Yan woke instantly and opened the box and unwrapped it, what looked like a tiny glowing sword. It was as short as a finger, shining softly in the moonlight. Yan took a look at the little sword. It still smelled like a demon's blood. He wrapped it, backed up, and set it aside. Ning couldn't hold back his curiosity anymore, and so he sat up and asked, "What is it?" And Yan told him it's his flying sword for killing demons and monsters. And if the windows bars hadn't been there in the way, the monster could have already been dead. And Yan let Ning hold it for a moment. The tiny blade glowed softly in Ning's hand, almost like it was alive. Before Yan left the temple, he gave his sword box to Ning. He told him the creature last night might come back and hunt him, so he needs to keep this box close to him to protect himself. From then on, Ning respected him even more. Ning buried Xiaoqian's remaining just outside his home and said a little short prayer for her. As he turned and left, he suddenly heard a voice. Xiaoqian was standing right behind him, smiling with tears. She thanked him and asked him if she could go home with him or even just to help out as a servant. At first, Ning's mother was very shocked and refused to let her stay. After all, Xiaoqian wasn't exactly a living girl. So she worried that having a ghost in the house would bring bad luck and drain her son's fortune. And remember, at this time, Ning was still studying hard for the government exams. But Xiaoqian gently told her that because of Ning's good heart, he was destined of success. He'd become an official one day and have 3 children. Hearing that, Ning's mother finally agreed to let her stay. So Xiaoqian began to help around the house, caring for Ning's sick wife and his aging mother. Her kindness and humility quickly won their hearts, and before long, she felt more like a daughter than a guest. After Ning's wife passed away, his mother hoped that he and Xiaoqian would get married. When she finally suggested, they both agreed. And their wedding was small but full of joy. Everyone admired Xiaoqian's beauty and grace, and no one could even believe she wasn't a living human. Oh, and do you still remember the demon that trapped Xiaoqian? Remember how Yan didn't fully get rid of him? One evening, Xiaoqian seemed very uneasy, and she asked Ning to hang Yan's sword box on the door because she felt something evil was heading this way and getting closer. That night, as they sat by the candlelight, a dark shadow suddenly dropped from the sky. It was a demon, its eyes flashing like lightning, tongues bright red, and claws sharp as knives. It circled around the doorway, growling low before reaching for the box. In an instant, the box snapped open, grew huge, and swallowed the demon whole. Then it shrank to normal size, leaving only silence and a bit of clear water on the floor. And Xiaoqian let out a shaky breath and smiled. It's over. Years went by peacefully. Ning eventually passes his exams and became a government official. Ning and Xiaoqian had 3 sons, all bright, kind, and grown up to be great people, just like she had once prophesied to his mother. This is the story of Nie Xiaoqian. There are many adaptations of the story that you could look up. And I got familiar with the story because when I was in elementary school, I had my hair down one day, kind of like that. And then, so apparently, this kind of looked like a ghost to some of the boys in class. And they started to call me Xiaoqian, Xiaoqian all the time because of what they see on the TV. They mean to make fun of me, but I had asked my grandma to tell the story for me and ended up falling in love with it. Xiaoqian had become one of my favorite characters in the book. She was very brave at the beginning to tell Ning the truth about the demon and her desperate will to be saved from his capture. And later, she showed much patience and courage, helping Ning's family even when they misunderstood her. In Chinese culture, anything related to death is considered bad luck. So having a ghost in the house would be completely unacceptable. But she managed to change their hearts and build a beautiful family with Ning. So if you ever find yourself in a situation like Xiaoqian, misunderstood, judged, trapped, I hope you will always have the courage to speak your truth and the heart to bridge the gap with love. I'm Ziola. See you next time. Hi there, Ziola here. Do you ever find yourself missing those childhood stories as a teen or young adult? Some of them felt very scary when you first heard them, and some seemed pretty strange once you look back on them later. Before I moved to the US, I was already super familiar with Greek mythology, Bible stories, and a lot of classic Western fairy tales. But after I got here, I realized that most people around me had never even heard about the old myths or the stories of China. Some of my friends might know a bit about Japanese tales because of the anime they're watching, but Chinese tales, almost no one. That's why I'm starting this channel, to share some of the amazing stories I had grown up with. Some were told to me by my grandmother, and other came from this classic book Liao Zhai, which literally translates to tales told at the dinner table. Anyway, I hope you enjoy these stories. Drop a comment to let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe.